feel like I've known him for my whole life just because how much inspiration and truth and just amazement that this guy brings. And you guys will notice this on this podcast. But he has a very interesting story. So if you don't mind, I'll just give you a quick intro. His name is JB Glossinger. JB, welcome to the show.
Hey, glad to be here. Excited to see you again.
You too, my man. You too. It's been some time, and but really quick, guys. JB, just a quick background on him. Some of the things that I was able to get to capture from your website, and if I say anything that's wrong, JB, please correct me. But what I know is that you left a $15 million aerospace company, where you had a six-figure salary, right? You pretty much made it, and even I don't know if on your website it says you had a corner office, but you were. I remember when we met, you said you were on the planes, like private jets, flying with your executives, and then you left it because something didn't feel right. So this is something we're going to talk about in today's show. Is like you literally had what most people would call mated, and then leaving it, which is incredible. And then you went home and you studied metaphysics.
Metaphysics. Yeah, we did some
Metaphysics.
metaphysical studies. Yes.
Yeah, I think it says that you even got your PhD in metaphysics. Then you started recording a daily podcast from your kitchen, and you haven't stopped since. Guys,
21 years.
21 years, 6,000 episodes deep.
Yes, yes.
This is like my 20th, I think, something like
It's
20th or
so great.
21st episode of my podcast. So I'm still just going, so early into it. But Morning Coach is the name of the podcast. It reaches listeners in 95 plus countries every single morning. He is also a marathon runner, which we'll talk about that, how he runs almost 40, 50 miles a week. And at the end of the day, he's just a living proof of what changing your lifestyle, your morning really does to set the tone for everything. Guys, again, please welcome to the show, JB. JB, how are you?
Hey, yeah, that was fantastic. I want to meet that guy.
JB, let's just start in. I know I want to make sure that we're good on time, but let's start from the most incredible part of your story, which is like you were working for a $15 million organization. I think you were doing well, and then in an aerospace company, which is again a great industry to be in. That's not a small deal for most people, but I mean, most of us will say, "Man, I made it. Shit, what else do I need? I'm flying private jets." What happened? Why did you leave? What was
Well,
the
you know,
shift?
I always wanted to just be the Big Lebowski, right? So it's like, as I'm sitting in the office, I'm looking around going, I'm not the Big Lebowski. I'm wearing a suit and tie, and my division was pretty big. We actually were doing, we took it to about 32 million. And, I had a pretty big group, and we had an industrial company. It was a privately held company, and I ran the aerospace division. That final thing, I'd bought and sold aircraft and stuff. But in that office, I was just miserable. And I remember thinking about my parents, because my parents are factory workers. And I was like, I'm making, 10 times what they make in a year, probably more. And I was like, this is just insane. Why am I upset? I should not be upset. But at that time, my number one objective was freedom. And I didn't have any freedom. And I was getting old. I was 35. I looked worse than I do today. I went to an emergency room visit once because I thought I was having a heart attack. And it just really was not the life that I wanted to live. And so I had to look at my values and go, what was really important? And to me, freedom was the most important thing, not the financial stuff. And that what's crazy is every step of the way, I was in sales. So I was selling aircraft. I was traveling all over the world having fun. And then when management started running companies, and that was when my freedom went away. And I think if I would have stayed in sales and realized that's what I loved and I'm free and I can do what I want, I'd probably still be in aerospace. But because I went into management and started running the company, it wasn't me. I felt trapped.
What was that point? Because I feel like a lot of people are, and I was in your position a few years ago when I quit my W-2. What was that point that made you realize, like, I'm done? Like, I'm done.
I just think, and I don't think it's so much the W-2, right? I want to make that point because it's like, we have this fight of entrepreneurialism versus corporate. I think it's more about value add and what you want to do. Like, because I could tell you right now, any company would love to have me. In fact, I had a big offer from a big company, but I would have to have my freedom and be able to do what I want. I just didn't understand that at the time. You know, I was bought into the corporate situation. And I didn't understand that I could actually put stuff together in a value situation. I could have ran that company and still had some freedom. So I think the realization came as I sat there was really the having to settle. Like, you should never just settle in life, you know? And I was settling like, okay, this is my life. I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be complacent. I need to be happy here, you know, but I wasn't. I was trying to make that happen. And I think we do that in relationships. We do that in business. We do that with everything, right? A lot of people do. And it's like, wait, I'm not going to settle. I have one life to live. I've got to figure out, what do I want and how do I get there?
And how did you make that shift? Like, okay, so you are at this job. I mean, did you just pull the trigger? You know, I want this freedom.
I'm a C&D student. In fact, I got my report card here, right? In my book, we'll talk about, I actually, the first word in my book is retard. Okay. And not to be controversial, but the reason I say that is because in third grade, I was called a retard. I flunked third grade. I got held back. They put me in a split third, fourth grade class. And I wasn't doing good. And they said I couldn't speak well. I was just scared. I was shy. All the big kids were beating me up. And they used to come to my office or come to my class and they'd say, James Glossinger, you need to come to your special needs class. And everybody say, you retard, you know? And so then they holding me back. So I never got great grades. I never had this, you know, the spoon in my mouth, the golden spoon. So I had to figure out, how the heck do I make this life work when everybody else is so much better than I am, right? So it was really about stepping back and going, okay, I did this, man. I kicked butt, but I'm still not happy here. And that was tough. Like, that was a psychological thing. And it's like, okay, how did I get there? How did I get there? Well, how I got there was listening to Zig Ziglar, Tony Robbins, Les Brown, all these great teachers that weren't teaching school stuff. They were teaching set goals, get focused, stay motivated, work a plan, right? And I worked that plan and it got me to the top of the corporate food chain. But what it didn't get me was the life I wanted. So I said, you know what? I got to step back and try to figure this out, right? And so that's when I looked at my teachers and stuff. I said, hey, you know what? I'm going to write a book. I'm going to go out there and teach the stuff that got me to the top of the corporate food chain, and I'll write a book and I'll become a speaker. And of course, that's what I did. Of course, I failed immediately out of the gate, but that's what got me out. It was like, I'm going to become what these people got me to. They helped me as a D student, you know, as a kid that was called a retard, to become top of a corporation. I can help other people do the same.
I love that, because I mean, I can somehow relate, because I was stuttering at school. I was made fun of because I wasn't able to say a sentence back then. But I think that's really what sets most of entrepreneurs, people like you and I, and people that are listening to this podcast apart, is that you should actually be grateful for this gift of, man, and use it. Don't just pour it down the drain and say, well, maybe I am a retard that people are saying, but man, I love that you.
Well, you can go, you can go one of two ways, right? You can either settle or buy into it, or you fight your way through it. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes all the time, but you just keep fighting. That's the difference between somebody that gets there and somebody that doesn't get there. You just got to get back up and keep going.
So how do you, okay, so I just had this conversation earlier with one of my students about clarity, right? Most of us don't even know what the heck we want. I mean, of course, clarity is very, very important. I love that you said you had a clarity of writing a book and becoming a speaker. Can you talk to us about some of the tools you already mentioned, Zig Ziglar, Tony Robbins, all those greats. What are some tools that the listeners can use to get clarity?
21 years. That's, my new book, right? So it's all about mission, vision, values. So it starts with that. We call it the cascade, then goals, projects, tasks. It's all about clarity. So mission is, what are you going to do over the next 12 months? You might not know what you're going to do over your life, but what are we going to do? What's our mission? What's our North Star for the next 12 months? What are you going to do? Vision, who are you going to become? Like, what are you going to do to become better this year? And then values are what's important to you. So when you have mission, vision, values, you have a target, you have somewhere to go, right? So that mission for me is to grow my business now. My vision last year was to qualify for the Boston Marathon. I did it. I ran a 3:27 in Toledo, failed one marathon, but then came back and qualified for Boston. My vision this year, become a fluent Spanish speaker. So every year I'm growing as an individual and I'm doing something. And so mission, vision, values are really important. And values are just your decision making. That's what's important to you: faith, family, freedom, what's really important to you. And that's your top level. And then everything below that, your goals, projects, tasks, all fit into that cascade. They all fit into that structure. But if you don't know what you want to do, start there. Like, what am I going to do over 12 months? Who do I want to become in the next 12 months? Who do I want to see myself? What can I do realistically that's, that I can say, hey, I did this and I became that. So I will be a fluent Spanish speaker at this 12 months. I'm going to continue to grow more niche, and my books are going to keep selling.
Mission. Are you still with me?
Vision, values.
Mission.
Yep. Mission, vision, values.
Values. Mission is what?
Mission is what you're going to do. Vision is what you're going to become, or mission is what are you going to do? Vision is who you're going to become in 12 months, not your life. These are not big things. It's like, what are you going to do in 12 months? That's what's critical. Okay. So mission is 12 months. This is what I'm going to do this year. Vision is what are we going to do over the next, who am I going to become? I became a Boston Marathon runner last year. So I can say, hey, I'm qualified for the Boston Marathon. This year, I will be fluent in Spanish.
I love it. And that's the clarity that you used back then, or is that something you realized eventually?
That's something I realized eventually. It took me 21 years to build the entire system, but I was doing a lot of pieces of that. It's like Vision's a new one. Vision's probably 5 years old in our system, so it's pretty new. But it really allows you to say no. Like, the biggest problem entrepreneurs have, like, the more successful you become, the more opportunities come. So you don't know what to say no to. That's really the secret. That's what I teach. It's like, you got to say no, because you're going to get more and more opportunities. And the more successful you become, there's just going to be more and more opportunities. The people that are very successful, and I hate that term because I believe it's just peace, but people that are really successful, they say no a lot. And that's the muscle we have to learn to use.
And how do you develop that muscle in the beginning, especially when you're not used to saying no?
You got to be clear. Does it fit your mission and vision? If it isn't, why are you doing it? If it doesn't help me become fluent or grow my business, why am I doing it? It's that simple. I mean, if it doesn't fit, I'm sorry, I have to say no to this opportunity.
Let's go back to your origin. You built Morning Coach podcast from your kitchen, kitchen table. How did you turn that eventually into a business? Like, what was that? Give us the
interesting.
origin.
Well, I started my book, Get Out of Neutral. It didn't sell well. But what we did is I started doing an audio call. There wasn't podcasting then. And I built a web page. I didn't even know how to build a web page. I got Dreamweaver software, found morningcoach.com and like Alta Vista. This was before Google. And I started going on MySpace and telling people, go to this website and you get an 800 number to call in. From a drunk meeting with a buddy. That's what he said. Hey, do something in the morning. So I would do a call at 6:30 and 10:30. And people would call this line and I'd say, good morning, everybody. Hey, this is what's going on. And over the period of about 4 or 5 months, we started getting people on the line. The line started dropping and I had to find a way to get this message out. So that's when podcasting came out. So in 2005, late 2005, I started taking that recording and putting it up on the internet. So that's how long ago this was. And from 2005 to 2009, I did it free. And I became top 25 on iTunes. We became one of the biggest podcasters. I mean, I dominated personal development. We had 40,000 listeners a day, but I was going broke. There was no money back then. It isn't like today. You have the biggest audience, you make a lot of money. Then people are like, I'll give you $100. There was no money. So in 2009, my dog died. He's back there. I got the box of the dog. I went to Tyrona Park in Colombia with my wife, and I decided, and that's why I'm building in Palomino. I decided I'm going to charge. And I came back and I built, I think, the first membership site on the web. And we charge $100 or $200 a month now, but back then it was $20 a month. 1,300 people came with me. 1,321 was the exact number. And that was like $1 billion, because that 20-some thousand a month, we were broke, and it changed my life. So I love those people that originally came with me.
Talk to me about that. You were broke.
Yeah.
That's something that you just threw in there. You were broke. Whoa. You have this successful career.
I took all my money, put it into the book. We put everything into actually a business. So we had a business, and my wife was starting to get that going. We took all of our money, invested into this project. In fact, I put $40,000 into my book. I had almost, I think it was like 3,000 books. I sold 2 copies. So it was just a disaster. I left corporate thinking, oh, I'll be this big speaker. I'll sell books. It was just error after error after error. It just didn't work. But I kept grinding. And we spent all of our money over those 2-3 years just to survive. And finally, right as we're about ready to lose my dog died, we're losing the house. We don't have any money. Her business is starting to go, but it's tough. And I came back and said, I got all these people. I'm just going to tell them it's $20 a month. And if you go on iTunes, this is funny. You'll see like 50 people hate me because I did the first 2 years for free. So there's like 600 episodes and people were like, I can't believe you're charging me. This is ridiculous. And it was just crazy. I had a death threat. Somebody wanted to kill me because I started charging. So it was a really weird time. Weird time.
How did you not go back to the cushion corporate job? I mean, that's crazy.
I believed, we had this belief, you have a wife with you, that's very important. But also I believed in the systems. I had people, I just couldn't figure out how to monetize, right? And that was like the hard part. How do I monetize this? And this was pre-internet stuff. Like nobody was doing the hypey stuff they do now. Like I was actually, people are selling memberships like crazy. I didn't even know what that was. Nobody even knew. I think I had the first one, literally. If we look back, I think I had the first membership site, at least paid. I know I had one of the first paid podcasts. So in 2009, when we launched, that was all new stuff. And so it was pretty crazy. In fact, I joined an internet group and I went out to a gentleman named Jeff Walker, good friend of mine. I still love him. He has Product Launch Formula. And I joined his mastermind. It was like 50 grand. And I would go there and I thought my business sucked because all these people had businesses, right? And here I've got 1,200 people in a membership, but my business was even bigger than theirs. And I started a mastermind. I started this whole business. I just went a totally different direction than I should have. Not his fault. It was my fault because I had imposter syndrome because I thought my business sucked. I was like $500,000 a year. And I'm like, my business sucks. I need to be making hundreds. The truth is my business was actually really great. I just didn't know, nobody knew how to monetize all that stuff back then, there wasn't high dollar coaching. There was some of Tony's stuff, but there really wasn't anybody doing internet stuff. So I was really on the bleeding edge of all that stuff.
With imposter syndrome. Talk about imposter syndrome, because I feel like imposter syndrome, everybody has it, but not many people know how to deal with it.
It's tough. I mean, it's just a belief, it's getting over that hump. You got to go do things like running a marathon. I mean, you run a marathon, your 8-year-old mother's there and you qualify for Boston. That makes you believe in a lot of things. I fail more than anybody. Like I fail constantly. I'm redoing a homepage right now, literally working with Claude going, oh my gosh, it stopped converting. We tried something and the whole conversion thing's just ridiculous, right? So it's another failure. It's like, well, let's go back. I'm screaming at Claude. I'm screaming. It's part of it. It's part of it, and you're like, is it me? Is it what did I do wrong? And the truth is that's just the nature of the game. So you've got to have that resilience and you got to build systems. That's the key. Systems are what gets you through those times when you start to lose faith in yourself, and you will. You can't just depend on motivation. That's the biggest issue. Most people depend on motivation, and you really can't depend on just discipline. You need to have systems where you're going to get up and this is what you're going to do and this is what you're going to learn and this is how you're going to get better. So I'm a huge person in a system. So how do you get over imposter syndrome? You don't. You never will. You're always going to have it. How do you get through it? You have systems. You become better at everything you do. You become a better speaker. You become a better manager. You become a better parent. You become better at everything by showing up and working a system.
Okay, so let's talk about those systems and go specifically, if you don't mind, because I think this is important. 6,000 episodes, Morning Coach is a podcast. What does your morning right now? Let's talk about systems. What does your morning, JB, look like?
Right now, I'm working through, so I got off caffeine. So I don't drink. I'm off caffeine. I'm really working on my health. So it's
what do you
hard.
want? If you're not on caffeine, what do you want? Then you have the
yeah. And I'm actually down right now. I'm not feeling good. But no, the truth is it's getting up and structuring your mornings properly. Cognitive load is the disease of life, meaning we have so much stress and anxiety, we don't have the ability to function at the highest levels. And decision fatigue is what's killing everybody right now. They can't make decisions because they're just overloaded with information. And AI is making that even worse. So you have to get up and do self-care. You have to get something in your brain that gets you out of system one thinking and into system two thinking. And what that is system one is just reactive thought processes. And system two takes actually glucose and energy. And Kahneman talks about it in Thinking Fast and Thinking Slow. Amazing work, by the way. But if you're always in system one, you can never make great decisions. So what you got to do is you got to center yourself. In the morning, you got to slow it down. You've got to make sure and get yourself structured properly, because here's the problem with caffeine. What happens with caffeine is it compresses everything. It makes cognitive dissonance even worse. That's why I'm getting away from it, because for me, I love it. And I feel so focused and I feel like I'm getting so much done. I'm getting stuff done, but I get so much more done without it. I get so much more done by slowing myself down and really analyzing what are the most important things to do, and then allowing that time to work instead of trying to compress time and work as fast as I can through caffeine or any other substances. So for me, getting up in the morning is a critical time to get rid of the cortisol first. And then the second thing is to really get my mind in a place that I can react and work accordingly without cognitive overload. And believe me, I get overload. I got it right now. I'm trying to figure out this damn homepage. So I'm just breathing, slowing, coming back, and not trying to make snap judgments, but long-term decisions in system two, not system one.
Okay, if you don't mind, can we stop here because you went so fast through this? Thinking fast, thinking slow. I think that's the book you mentioned. It's called Thinking
Yes,
Fast.
Thinking Fast, Thinking Slow is a great book. Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
So, and then because I love coffee, I mean, I live in Colombia. You're moving to, you're building your house in Palomino, Colombia. I don't
Yep.
even know if I cannot imagine waking up and not having a cup of coffee. And you're saying that this helps you actually because you're slowing down. And give us some practical examples of how, for somebody who is addicted to coffee like myself. I love coffee. I cannot imagine myself without coffee. And you sounds like you were yourself. You are so hype. You're so type. I don't even know what to call you because you're so high energy in person and even now on this podcast. How?
Caffeine's great. Like caffeine used properly is awesome. Like it's a drug, right? So running, I use it at mile 20. It gives me that lift. But if I use it every day, it ruins. It really brings my ability to actually use it better than when I want to use it and when I need it. That's the problem when we use it daily. We just physiologically it hurts us, right? So what you got to do is you just got to use it in spots. I'm not anti-caffeine. I'm kind of anti-alcohol because alcohol really hurts you. But caffeine used in particular spots can be pretty good. When you start using it every day, what it does is it speeds up time and increases anxiety and stress because caffeine just works with the nervous system. So what's happening is you're compressing everything. You're just speeding it up. So when you start to release from caffeine, what happens is you see your days last longer. Time really starts to extend and you really start to be able to do more, get more done because you have more time. You literally have more psychological time. Caffeine speeds it all up. It focuses you, don't get me wrong, but it speeds time up very fast.
Really? I had no clue. Wow. Okay. So how would you, so for somebody like myself, would you recommend not having coffee one day a week and then, or literally just cut
I
it
would
out?
say, the problem is it takes like 30, 40 days off of it. It's like you cook cold turkey, those 2 to 3 weeks are horrible. Like there's just nothing worse than a coffee reset. But once you reset, you just have natural energy. And that's really awesome. When you can get to the point where you have natural energy, you don't need caffeine anymore. What I would recommend is a element like a sodium, magnesium, potassium drink. That's what you need in the morning. For me, that's where I get energy. I have element, but you can have that. You can make a natural one with magnesium, salt, and potassium. That's all you really need. That's what, when your cortisol drops and you have magnesium, potassium, and sodium, that's what, man, it just charges you up. So first thing in the morning, I drink what's an element. You can buy it in the United States, but you can make one. And that's just like sea salt, potassium, and magnesium. Drink that first thing in the morning. And even if you're drinking caffeine, start that now and you'll see how much that affects your life. And I would do it at the end of the night too, just a little bit. Not so much you go to the bathroom at night, but enough that you get that potassium, magnesium, sodium. That's the energy of the body.
Okay. So sodium is salt. I'm sorry. Yeah. Sodium is salt.
Sodium, potassium, magnesium. So sodium, you can get salt, but I would use pink table salt, put it in there. Potassium, bananas. Yeah,
Banana.
bananas, and
So it's like
there's
a shake?
yeah, you could just shake it. Mine, I get Element because it's easier for me. Like I do AG1 greens. I'm not a big fan of either of these companies. They just make it easy for me, right? But Element makes it easy. So I would do is with anybody is just Google wherever you're at in the world and say, hey, how do I make a magnesium, potassium, sodium drink that works for me? It's magical. I'll be honest. It's something I suggest to everybody. It really does make a difference. You'll sleep better. You'll feel better. You'll have more energy. And if you slowly get off caffeine, then you use caffeine on that day where you just don't have it, and that's where you say, I'm going to use caffeine. You just got to be careful with the trigger because with caffeine, it'll trigger you back where I need this every day. Like I need it. I need it. I need it.
I cannot
you know?
imagine. Like I literally cannot imagine. It's like waking up without having water. That's how much I'm addicted to coffee. So I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna give it a shot, and I'll definitely keep you.
Yeah, just Google magnesium. So Google. There's a lot of natural recipes. Like a lot of people will do lime, salt, and I can't remember what for the magnesium, but there's something else you can get in there that that's natural in Colombia,
Yeah.
and you can just drink it. I don't have it off the top of my head.
Cool. Awesome. So that's awesome. So you get that drink. Give me your morning routine if you don't mind. What time you wake up?
Yeah,
What is the
so I
first thing you
wake up,
do? Uh-huh.
boom, walk the dog, and typically I
Get
listen to
moving.
Spanish. Yeah, I get moving. So it's the first thing is I walk the dog. That's what's great about having a dog, So it's 30 minutes. I got to go for a walk, right? And then when I come back, first thing I do is I journal. I journal what's going on. I let it all out. Now I used to say journaling is something that was negotiable. Like it was like you do it when you want to do it, but for me it's a non-negotiable. I need to write it down. And I write with my hand. You write with your hand because you write with your heart. You type with your head. So you need a journal, like write with your hand, okay? So then I write with my hand, and then that's when I step back and I'll either go exercise. It depends on what my plan is. I like to go do zone 2 run right away, or I'll sit down, and I have a software system with Morning Coach now. We built an entire software where it looks at my mission, my vision, and everything, and tells me what my most important things are to do today. So I use that software to kind of get myself going, and then I start work. Take a lot of breaks. I want to make sure my mental clarity is on. And there's days I grind when I'm writing a book, and I'll write all day. There's days I'll put recordings together. But I want to have a great life. In fact, Zone 2 is something we can talk about, but that's the book I'm writing in the fall because I'm living that, which means most very successful people, okay, that are very successful aren't too high. They don't get too high. They're never up here. They're just kind of going zone 2. They're just in the mode. They know what they need to do. It's kind of boring. It's like going to a golfer, right? People that golf understand this. If you go golf with me, I'm decent. I'm a 10, but I'm all over the place. If you go with Nicolas Chavarria in Medellin, the best golfer in Colombia right now, if you go with him, he's in the middle of fairway, he hits the green, he putts and moves on. He plays very boring golf. It's not exciting at all. It's like, this sucks. Like, this is boring. But he's great. And why is he great? Because he can make it boring. So you want your business to be boring. Like you want to be able to show up, do what you need to do, and not have the 4 and 5 heart attack every day. Like it's so critical. If you want to be really on it, your structure and systems need to be on. So that's what I do. I try to live zone 2 and not have those 4 or 5s. Like right now I'm having a 4, right? Because my website's not working. We had some problems. It's like, so now I got to get out of zone 2, solve this problem, get back to zone 2.
And how do you get back to zone 2?
Back to the ritual, back to routines, doing the basics, show up and do the things that I know I need to do that are going to make things happen. In fact, the reason that I got out of zone 2 is because I tried some stuff that Claude told me, oh, we need to go this trial. We need to do this thing. We got to, put this plan together. Oh, it's going to work so great. And then I did it. It took me out of my zone 2 to doing things that were experimental that didn't even remotely come close to working. So now I had to pull all the way back and now get back to zone 2.
And that system software that you just mentioned, is that something that your paid members get access to?
Yeah. So
Okay.
I'm not here to sell or anything. We have a $100 a month program. That's our daily coaching, and that's me every day. And then we have 197. That's my software and the daily coaching and everything included. And the reason we're friends, so I can tell you, the reason I picked those price points is a lot of people have 45-day programs, 90-day programs. The problem I have with those is that, they're $5 to $8,000 or whatever. They're pretty expensive. I'd rather somebody pay $100 or $200 a month and spend 2 years than do it in 45 days, because the real work is done over years, not over days. And that's why we kind of fell in our pricing. We find it's really fair and it works over time for any professional where, I could do that. And I do some retreats that are expensive, but it's like, do the long term, not the short term with stuff like this. Like if you're going to build systems and get mission and vision and cascade, I have a whole vocabulary. This isn't something that can be done in a day. This is something that needs to be processed over time.
And you practice it in your marathons. Life is a marathon. It's not a freaking
business,
sprint.
life. Yeah. And failures, right? We all have them. I mean, I wouldn't be speaking the truth if I said everything was perfect, but I can tell you it works because whether you use my system or not, it's very simple. Look, get clear and then optimize. I mean, it's that simple. I mean, if you get clear and you optimize, it's great if you have a coach or a system to help you, but if you get clear and optimize, you're ultimately going to succeed. The people that fail are the ones that give up.
So give us some examples. So you have, I mean, you've been doing this for 21 years. You have hundreds of people, if not thousands, paying for the morning coach, which again, this is not to sell it, but I just know how much value you bring in for $197 a month. That's like, that's insane. That's a steal. What would be some of the life changes that you have seen from your members? Can you give us some examples?
Yeah, I got a
of before
couple.
and after?
John Cunningham in Japan just the other day posted a picture of him playing guitar at his church service. Why is that so significant? Because this guy's a big consultant, and I'll never forget a couple years ago he said, "I'm going to play guitar," right? And he applied our system. That's my vision. I want to be a guitar player, and it was so awesome to see him in the back of his worship service, like that's where he goes, right? And he's playing guitar publicly. So it's like a child. I was like so excited for him. But we have a lot of people. Jürgen, this German engineer who's just one of the smartest guys I know, he implemented our systems. And the first year that he used them, he told me this a couple weeks ago that first year his wife's like, "What do you listen to this guy for in the morning? This is weird." And he's like, "No, it's good." And the second year, she's like, "This is okay. You're getting better." The third year, she goes, "I don't know what you're doing, but I like the man you're becoming." And to me, that was the greatest compliment that I've ever gotten. And that's the thing. He was somebody that was so stressed out that he was almost having heart attacks, and now his business is booming. He's doing amazing, and it was just really about getting him a system, where he could say no to things and get clear about what he wanted and adjust it. And it took a couple years. It didn't happen overnight. But he's implemented my system so much so that now he's building a second brain system, which we're big in this Tia Forte does second brains. Well, he liked our system so much that he's like, "I'm going to build a second brain system called Pact that uses your system." So he's literally building a second brain system that's using my system that he's going to bring to the public. I said, "Go ahead, Jürgen, you're great, man. You're somebody that's been a testimonial for me because you use it." So he's actually building a second brain system for us, which is crazy.
How do you say so you've been, again, I'm going to say this again, you've been doing this for such a long time. Consistency, apps, internet, like, I mean, you went from just a call to podcast, like, and now you have AI. Like, we have so much shiny object syndrome that pulls us every day to new, just like you said. How do you say no? How do you stay consistent on this? And what's the secret?
I think you gotta, I mean, this is gonna sound weird, but I think you gotta care a little bit. Like when I started my business, it was for money. Be the first person to tell you, I needed to make money. And now I'm at the point where I actually care. It's funny. I talk about this book. This is a book. So I talk about this book. It's my fifth book, right? So when we met, I didn't have this yet. But when I wrote my last book for Hay House, they gave me a lot of money. The publisher gave me a lot of money. So I wrote it for money. My first book, I wrote for money. This is the first book that I haven't wrote for money, and it's doing great. Like it was written because I absolutely love what's in here. I love the messaging. I love the system. I love the structure. I mean, I go into loops in chapter 7, something I've never taught. And this book's doing so good. And the reason is because I really believe for the first time, I did it because I cared. Like I needed to get a vocabulary together for my people. People are like, "What is a mission? What is vision? What are these circles that you're talking about?" And I had to bring all that knowledge together. And so I did it in the book, right? So that's the how do you stay consistent? You actually care. You try to be great. Like you just keep working to get better. And I'm somebody that has never been great. Like I was a C&D student. I was called a retard. So it's always that challenge. How can I make it better? How can I show up better? How can I work harder? How can I get better as an individual? And that's really the whole key. So I think consistency comes from caring. You have to have clients for that. But once you have clients, you have to care about the clients.
But every day you stay. So morning coach is Monday through Friday. Every day you
I do it I do it Monday through Sunday. We do 365 days a year. So yeah, I have people that are, there's people that are trying to quit drinking. There's CEOs. I'm working on another book called Sober Weekends. So I have people that are trying to establish habits. So I do it every day, 365 days a year, even Christmas. So I'm there every day. Show up.
Wow. Okay, let's talk about your book. Get It Done Now. You said this is your 5th book.
Yep.
It's out on Amazon.
Is it out it's already? On Amazon. It's doing good. Audiobook's out. We're getting ready to translate it in Spanish. And it's just a cool book. Like if anybody's a reader, I'd say grab it. It's a good book. It's just the philosophy. So everything that I'm talking about in the book are in here. And there's so many things. Even the Harold Cameron failure loop, which I think every entrepreneur should read, which is chapter 2, which is talking about shiny objects. Let's just hit on this real quick.
Yeah.
I talk about it, and it's not mine, it's Cameron's work, and I just expanded on it. But basically, you have a failure loop, right? So you always have this uninformed optimism when you start something, and it's exciting. It's like, hey, I'm uninformed, I'm excited, I got this new business deal, or I got this new partnership, and so you go do it. Well, then you get informed pessimism. And it's like, wow, this is going to be hard. Oh my God, I got to do a podcast. I got to hire staff, and now all of a sudden the reality sets in. So that's when crisis of meaning happens. That's when you're like, oh, what do I do? Well, guess what most people do? Most people, oh, wait, there's another thing over here. I can go do that. And they go back into uninformed optimism. And it's just this continual progression. So what you got to do is you got to stop at a crisis of meaning. What do I do? Well, you get informed optimism. You start to learn that I got to do the work. I got to put the time in. That's what leads to success. But it's really important. And that's why I start with that in the book, because most people, when they're getting clear, they're in some stage of that cycle, typically uninformed optimism, and then they get pessimistic because they get the informed pessimism, and they're just in a failure loop. And now they're in crisis of meaning. They don't know what to do, and they're upset. They don't know if they can do it. They don't have the right coaching. They don't have the right structure. So now all of a sudden they're waiting, and something else comes along, and they just jump all in on that thing. It's like, this is it. It's finally the thing. This is the thing that's going to do it. And then they find out it isn't, right? And then they're back into that. And it's just a really horrendous loop. So we start with that to get people to understand what's happening. And then we take them through a process of clarity and getting the structure in place so that doesn't happen. It's important.
So the first step is clarity. So it doesn't
Yeah.
happen. So what are the things you do to, how do you get out of the loop? Because I feel like
Yeah,
too
you got to
many
get the
people are in
mission.
that loop.
You got to get mission, vision, and values. You have to spend some time and really understand what you want to do. I mean, part of the problem is, as young men, when we were young, right? Younger people. I'm going to be 57, so I'm getting up there. But when you're young, it's just money, 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 right? I need to make money. But the problem with just making money is, what does that really mean? And then you're just chasing so much stuff because you're just trying to make money. You get in a corporate career, you go from sales to running a company, and I'm just making more and more money, and it's taken away from my life. So you gotta understand, what life do you want to live? And it's okay to make mistakes. That's why we work at a year at a time. It's like, you're gonna screw up. I don't even remember the 90s. I don't even know if they existed. I was in South Beach all the time, but I was there somewhere, but I don't know if the 90s were around. But at the end of the day, you've got to figure out what it is that you want to do. Once you get that, you can start to build a cascade of goals, projects, tasks. And then we get deeper, like we can understand the loops of why you're doing what you're doing, and get into some of the deeper principles of system 2, system 1 thinking, and why some things are happening. But if you don't do the basics first, it doesn't matter. And that's one of the biggest problems. Like, a lot of people will come to coaching and they'll be like, hey, I want to get the black belt stuff. I get it. You want to get the black belt stuff, but fights are won with the basics. Basketball is won by shooting free throws, right? So it's like, everything's won with the basics. If you keep skipping the basics and go into the advanced, it doesn't matter. I can tell you all about the psychological issues. I could talk about caffeine. We can talk about all that stuff. But if you don't have the fundamentals in place, it's not going to matter.
Focus on the basics. Self-development.
Yep.
You've been on this journey of self-development since you quit your job. What's one self-development belief that you had back in your 20s that changed now? Is there anything that you do different now? I mean, there's so much information on self-development that I feel like a lot of people get lost. Like, is there something that...
Yeah, I think, it's a great question. I think, knowledge is one thing, action is the other, right? So the education part of self-development is great, but are you actually doing anything? Learning
Exactly.
Spanish is often, but if, I'm not I tried to learn Spanish in my 20s, and I read books and stuff, and I never spoke with anybody. I never learned a damn thing because I was scared to speak. You have to take action. And that's, in the 20s, I had all these dreams, and I did take some action, but I don't think I did everything I possibly could have. In fact, I had a belief that I thought I needed gray hair, which I'm starting to get now to be successful. And so I didn't start my business
No
because
way.
all my mentors were older, right? And I'm like, I don't have the wisdom to do this. So it was like a horrible belief. But yeah, it's action. Action is really the key. That's where you're going to learn. You got to get the knowledge, then take action.
Get the knowledge and take action and systemize. This is probably the biggest takeaway for me, is that those systems. Is there anything else besides your morning routine that you can talk about to get, because I keep replaying in my head, it's not about your discipline, it's not about your motivation, it's about your systems.
Yeah, and you can't get
What other
OCD.
systems?
Like you can't get so OCD about it. You got to give yourself a break. Like you got to, it's zone two life too, meaning if you screw up a little bit, it's okay. So let me talk about loops because these are really important. So in your life,
Please.
you have outcome loops. Okay, this is chapter 7. So you have outcome loops. Okay, you have action loops. This is really critical. A lot of people are, this is hitting for a lot of people. So outcome loops are things that you're doing. Okay, so learning Spanish, becoming a great father, building a business. Those are outcome loops. Then we have action loops. Those are like read the book today, call those 5 clients, get things done. Those are the check the box loops. Okay. And then we have old loops, old business deals, old relationships, stuff that's running in our head, stuff that we should have closed out that we never did. So what you can do with loops is you can finish them, obviously. You can keep them open, understanding what they are. You can schedule them, or you can park them. Okay. So the problem most people have, especially people like you and me, is we take outcome loops that are things that are going to be continuous and we make them action loops. We try to close them. For example, Spanish. So a couple months ago, I was getting really stressed out because a couple days I'd miss my class. I wouldn't get my workbook done. I wasn't 100% perfect in my Spanish studies. The problem with that is Spanish is not an action loop. It's an outcome loop. It will never close. And just that realization let me stop beating myself up and going, okay, I just got to keep getting better on it. Being a parent, a great parent, that's not something you do today. That's an outcome loop. That's something that'll always be going forever. So why beat yourself up? Just do the best you can. Action loops, yes, they're important. Those things need to close. But you need to know what type of loops are working on you. This is why so many have so many problems cognitively, because they're trying to close stuff that was never meant to be closed. You're trying to build your business to a certain level. That's not ever meant to be closed. I mean, you could sell it, but it's still, that's something you should do every day. And if you miss your morning ritual one day, it's not the end of the world because it's an outcome loop. It doesn't close. So it's really important in your rituals and your systems that, hey, if I don't run zone 2, like I had a bad week this week, I didn't feel good, I'm okay. I got tomorrow. I can get back up and get going. And my running is an outcome loop. There's no closure to that. It just means that I had a couple of off days. So understanding the loop system is really, really critical. It will release so much stress because too many people are turning outcome loops into action loops.
That is, wow, that's cool. I've never heard that perspective before, and that definitely going to change my mind about a few things because you're 100% right. I mean, you just, yeah, outcome action loops. Wow, love that.
Yep. It's
JB,
good. It's good. That's hitting pretty hard, to be honest with you. I got to do some YouTube videos because a lot of people are saying that's been life-changing. And it's true. It helped me. Like all my stuff, look, you write the books for yourself. This is for me. It's not for anybody else. I need the system, right? I started Morning Coach for me because I was listening to Tony Robbins and Les Brown and Zig Ziglar and Brene Brown, all these people. And I was getting a bunch of different systems. I'm like, I need one system. I love to get their information, but I got all these things going on. So I started Morning Coach 21 years ago because I needed a fundamental system. Not that it was great, not that it was the best. I just needed one consistent system that I could plug stuff into. That's why I did it. And so that's why you write the books. All this stuff is because I need it.
I was going to ask you, how do you write a book? Because that's one of my goals, I guess, action loops.
Yeah, we'll have to get way together on that because it's an awesome process. It's just like, this is the fastest book I've ever written. I wrote it in less than 30 days. And I mean, it's huge. And the reason that a good friend of mine, Randy Gage, says, if you can't write a book in 30 days, you don't deserve to write it. And all my other books take 6 to 8 months. And there's a reason for that because I knew the material so much that it was so easy. It was just like, I knew exactly what I was saying. So you write a book that you're passionate about, and there's some techniques, but you really want to give and you want to show, not tell. You want to really work with people and help them. And that's really where the book comes from, right? And there's a whole process that you can do. We can talk offline about that too.
Get it done now. I'm definitely getting the book right after this episode because this is awesome. This is so good in terms of information. JB, I'm going to go ahead and ask you rapid fire questions. There's so much that we can talk about, but I know your time is valuable. I'm going to ask you 4 questions, and then I have one that I actually wrote for you specifically, but 4 are the ones that I ask on every single show. Best investment or business advice that you've ever received?
From Wayne Dyer. I'll be quick on this, but I called Wayne Dyer up on the phone, first time I ever met him. And he goes, JB, how's your business? And I said, it's hard. I said, people really don't want coaching. It's challenging. It's personal development. It's not the easiest thing to sell. And the line went totally quiet. I'm like, oh, did I make Wayne mad? And he said, it's never been hard for me. And you know what? It has never been hard. It was $1 billion answer to me. Like, it was the biggest answer ever. It is not hard. Putting a roof on a house is hard. Filling potholes is hard. Like, it just changed my perspective. So realize what you're doing isn't hard.
Wow, that's a cool answer. I've never heard that perspective. So just change your context and your perspective on it. That is cool. It's never been hard.
Never been hard.
Second question: worst life or business advice you've ever received? Worst.
Ooh, worst life or business advice I ever received. You know, I don't think, I got to be honest. I don't know any, I can't remember any. I mean, I made so many mistakes along the way that, oh, I got it. My original book, I paid $5,000 for an image consultant to the way I should look. It's not here. I wish I had it. It's downstairs. And I had a suit and tie put on, and he made me look like, and I spent I didn't have anything. I put it on a credit card, and I'm like, I need this image consultant. And I didn't sell anything. Like, I didn't sell anything, which leads me probably to my best business advice. Cause I was like, if I'm going to suck, I'm wearing shorts and a t-shirt. And I went to my next event in a shorts and t-shirt and became successful ever since then. So the worst advice was getting somebody to tell me how I was supposed to look. It was horrible. I looked like a dork.
That's great. That's funny. I kind of want to see that now. Please send me a picture next time besides your own book, Get It Done Now, which I love and I will check it out. What's one book or a podcast besides your own podcast that every entrepreneur should buy or listen to?
First part of Power of Now changed my life. So that's what got started on my journey. Eckhart Tolle's The Power Now, not the whole book, The Pain Body, but the first part about becoming present. I know it's a metaphysical, spiritual book, but it's extremely powerful. It was life-changing for me. And it's just the first part of that book of understanding the present moment is such a gift. And the way that he's able to discuss it in that book is I believe it's a very spiritual text. Like, it's so awesome.
I love it. Especially the first part. You're 100% right, because honestly, I got to maybe page 60 and then I stopped because I think I got the message.
Yeah, I got into the pain body and stuff, but that first 60 pages is some of the most magical stuff that I've ever read. Honestly, strong.
Agree. Power Now. Question number 4. If you could go back to your 20-year-old self, what advice would you give him today?
Just keep chugging, keep doing what you're doing. That would be it. I would just say, just stay persistent. I mean, I'm the man I am today, the mistakes and everything else that I made. So I don't have much to tell them except just keep going forward. Spend more times with your loved ones. Still need to do more of that.
Just keep chugging along. Yeah. It's not hard. It's never been hard. I love that answer, man. Wow. I'm literally gonna now remind myself. And the question that I had specifically for you is running those marathons. I mean, I remember you and I met and you're like, Anton, actually don't do marathon. I remember you were the one actually that was like, Anton, because I was like, JB, I want to run a marathon. You're like, don't. It's such a big toll on yourself.
Body
and since then,
everything.
I'll never forget that. I'm not running a marathon. I'm doing an Ironman this year. But for somebody who's still running 50 miles a week, can you talk about, besides saying no, don't do it, but the power of doing it?
Yeah, I think it's great if it's something that you want to achieve, but you got to do it the right way. We talked a little bit before coming on how I'm trying to run Zone 2 now to be able to run a marathon and not hurt myself. I think the problem is when we try to accomplish for ego or for some other reason. That's the problem. I think you should accomplish it because you want to accomplish it, not because of other people. And that's something that I would say everybody should do. But it's something that, like a marathon, is a very difficult thing. It's challenging. It's going to hurt you. Now, knowing you, it's different. We also got to preface this. We're talking about running a marathon. We're not talking about doing a marathon. So there's people that do marathons. Less than 1% of the population finishes a marathon. That's doing a marathon. Then you have psychos like us that actually run them. So I run a marathon. I'm trying to run 26 miles. I'm not taking any breaks. I'm trying to do it as fast as I can. I'm trying to do it in 3.5 hours, now 3 hours, which is just insane. But I also want to take care of my body. So there's context here. Anybody can go do a marathon. You can go do it in 8 hours, right? You can get it done. But if you're going to run a marathon, then I want to have a conversation before to make sure we do it safe, to make sure we do it the right way, and make sure we're doing it for the right reasons, not just go out there and kill ourselves.
I love it. I love it. JB, this is amazing. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for last 21 years coming on every single morning. And guys, go check out Morning Coach. Go check out Get It Done. Buy the book. JB is an amazing human being. It's exactly what I wanted out of this episode. I had a lot of questions planned, but we went down so many great avenues that I think this is amazing. So thanks again, JB, for being here. Thank you for doing this. And we'll definitely put the show notes. Where outside of Morning Coach is Morning Coach is where people can best find you.
Morning Coach. Keep it simple. Yeah, I'm not into all that other stuff. I am a terrible marketer. Morning Coach. That's where we're at.
We'll put it in the show notes. JB, thank you so much for being here. You're an amazing inspiration. And I would love to have you. By the way, next time you're in Medellin, I'm going to get you inside a studio. I'm getting a studio for this podcast, and I would love to do this again, even deeper, on a deeper level.
Let's do it. I'll be there. I got to get down there anyway, so we'll get together.
There we go.